So Dr. Chatterjee is the PI for our grant project, and she's going to go ahead and give us a brief overview of the project as it stands currently. And then we'll go ahead and get into some of the progress that we've made as far as organizing our work so far.
Okay, well, thank you all for this wonderful student-led initiative. This is the first for our history department to have the students give a talk, and I don't know why we didn't think of this earlier. So thank you again. We have an exceptional group of students, Moisés, Ponce-Zepeda, Jewelyn, Mims, who are advanced graduate students who have taken the lead on building the project I will speak about. Jorge, Guerrero, and Christopher Gurrola, first year graduate students who are learning very quickly and making remarkable contributions. This project was funded by a grant from the Department of Agriculture that the campus received, a 4-year grant. The PI is Barry Hibbs in the Department of Geosciences. He's going to be doing research on water in a community garden that we're installing in the student housing. And the other participants are Amanda Hillstrom from nutrition, who will be studying the impact of the garden on nutrition and diet. Alexander Wright, a biologist who will be looking at polyculture or a way to do companion planting to enhance productivity. And my team, they are building this historical database of climate adapted agriculture in the Los Angeles region. And our special emphasis is going to be on smallholders and small growers who have escaped historical scrutiny, as all the literature is about big agriculture, big water, and wealthy individuals. So our database is going to be something different. So thank you for joining us. This will be recorded and uploaded to the History Department YouTube channel, and I will turn it over to my students. Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction. I'm going to go ahead and share screen in a moment so that we can get through our PowerPoint presentation. Thank you very much for joining us.
Okay, I'm going to be speaking first. So part of the component of the project is creating a historical database of these climate adapted agricultural practices and also plants. Because in collaboration with having the garden on campus, we want to promote and encourage people to grow their own local gardens so that they can contribute to their local economy, producing and growing their own food, not only for their own nutrition and health, but something that they could probably share with others, in their neighborhood, or create some kind of local economy by, trading through things like farmers markets. So part of that is finding a component of categorizing and collecting the information that we are finding through our historical resources. And I think that will be very helpful, because then if we have this database, moving forward into the future, we not only have a record of the past, but something that could be utilized, moving forward as we enter, years to come. And I'm ready for the next slide. So part of, creating a database, before people just kind of collect documents in archives, but we're in the 21st century. So you want to use technology to our advantage. So something that is, a digital archive or a digital database can be, accessed quickly, can be widely shared, and have a bigger outreach to the community. So, when we get started, we wanted to collect as much information as we can, but that can sometimes be overwhelming. Collecting a bibliography, list of sources, different pictures or maps. We need to find ways to at least start what will be a finished website or, larger database. So we've been using things like Google Drive. We started with an Excel sheet in Google Sheets, which was great. I think Excel lets you categorize and put things in really quickly. But sometimes when your data becomes so big that you need to find other tools to be able to organize more efficiently and categorize in a way that you can separate each component of your project. So we're also using, other websites. We're using Google Drive currently to kind of, build up our different sources, which we will later turn into a GIS component with geospatial things for a larger website, a larger resource that we can, mine from other local archives such as Huntington Library. And not only for our own purposes, for the project of finding historical resources about climate adapted plants and agriculture practices in the San Gabriel, Los Angeles Valley, but also so that we can share and be collaborative with people who might live in other places of California. Because, California is a very, large agriculture producer. And so it's not just Southern California that might have information that will be helpful for our project. We can learn information from other parts of California and then focus in on the specific techniques or native plants in Los Angeles that we want to include in our database and in our gardens, our actual gardens. So this is a way of using our historical data for public engagement. That's kind of the end goal. We want to promote, local agriculture practices, regenerative agriculture using plants that we understand work well in our climate and work in tandem with other, crops and, seed products so that we can have a robust, community garden and then local economy through food. What we eat is very important not only to ourselves, but to our communities. So I'll leave it there. There's a lot more to talk about in terms of how we're organizing our database, but some of my partners will touch on those things as well.
Good afternoon, everyone. I will be presenting the next few slides. And so I will be getting more into how our group works and the flow of our research and how we have been collaborating so far this semester. So we have our bi-monthly meetings. We meet every 2 weeks. We set our meetings for Fridays. So we know the semester can get busy, so we just want everybody to have time to do their work and also gather the research. And once we meet every those 2 weeks, we all present our readings and our research to one another, and we discuss just our gatherings from our research and the connections to the project as a whole. And as Jewelyn mentioned, the Excel sheet, we have been adding just our collection of sources each meeting. We try to keep up just having a record of the project growing, and I feel like that's one of the strengths of this project, especially for up and coming historians like me and George, who this is our first year and we're kind of getting a hang of how this is working. And so far Moisés and Jewelyn have been very helpful and informative in helping us. And just in this slide, this photo is from our current reading that we are going to talk about this Friday. So it is from Cows to Concrete, The Rise and Fall of Farming in Los Angeles. And this is just an example of the type of research we're currently doing, and just the ability that we allow freedom to flow in the group, where we set our readings, but we also allow everybody to give their perspectives and interpretations. And this goes along with the digital humanities, and I think is one of the strengths of this group. And this modern age historians, we have to adapt to technology and social media. And I grew up in the rise of social media, and I still have trouble myself becoming familiar with a lot of these free programs, such as Google Drive, and very many other where you can store your sources, such as Zotero, which is an online tool to help collect and organize and cite your research. So I'm still getting a hang of that. And it only benefits our independent research as well. It benefits our research that we do independently, and there's a lot of tools that we present to one another, and it's very informative. And also another strength of this group is access to local scholars. Just last week, our last meeting, we had Julia Lewandowski from Cal State San Marcos, and she presented her research on the mission system of California, and it was very informative. And I think also one of the strengths of this group is that it's very personal, and we have the ability to ask questions, and as well just network with these local scholars. And it doesn't have to be what our group focuses on, you are able to connect with them on your own independent research and gather connections for yourself, which again is another strength of this group. And it's the ability to help up and coming historians like myself gain these tools and the ability to take advantage of social media and the internet, which is a great tool to help us save time. So mentorship is a big part and component of this group as well. Jewelyn and Moisés have been very informative and very helpful with databases, just the process of creating websites or linking sources. It's very helpful as a historian, and I'm surprised even myself I haven't been taking advantage as I should have, but just from this semester, I've been able to gain a better understanding of how us as historians can save time and, you know, make our research more accessible to the public. And the community, the history department at Cal State, I feel is a great community for historians. But just with COVID this semester, it really altered our ability to be able to communicate in person and just have discussions that we usually would have on campus. So I feel like this group offers a sense of community as well, where you can connect with fellow students, professors. It's a great way to not only just focus on the research we're doing, but also we would love to hear your perspectives and the type of research and tools that you use, because historians are all different and we all have different strengths and weaknesses. And the strength of this group is that we get that all together and we find a way to make it work and benefit the project as a whole. So moving on to our next slide is just an example of the digital humanities and the ability to access sources so quickly and easily. So this source is 3 lithographs showing bird-eye views of Los Angeles, Wilmington, and Santa Monica in 1877. And it's actually from the Los Angeles Public Library database, which is abundant with sources and very important. It has a variety of different types of sources, such as maps, articles, lithographs, photos. There's many different types of sources that we can use its strengths to benefit our own research. And these are just a few examples of how we can access these sources and also make these sources accessible as well, maybe through social media or even just through our databases that we want to be accessible to the public that don't really know how to research their own sources. And this also maybe can be a benefit to historians at our department that might want to gain a better understanding of how databases work and how they can go about doing their own research. And this joining our group would be a great way to get an understanding of that and asking questions. Historians are, as a community, I believe we are better when we communicate and we collaborate, and we're more than welcome to welcome anybody to our group and hear your different perspectives, because it would only benefit our databases and research and also help your independent research as well. So yeah, thank you.
Hi, everybody. Once again, my name is Moisés Ponce-Zepeda. I'm excited to present to you. My portion of the presentation is kind of building upon what my colleagues had mentioned previously, was collaborative primary source interpretation. So really finding a way for everyone to be able to work together, especially in the digital age, has been a challenge for this project, but it's been something that we've been able to overcome using, as he mentioned, Google tools and various free software available to work collaboratively in a non-destructive way. So to be able to bring in information from other databases, to bring in information from books and the literature, and really collaborate and share that instantaneously has been a strong point of our project. So we definitely want to go ahead and invite more folks in, and most importantly, to derive, the direction of our project from their experience. A few slides ago, we had a breakdown of the land grants that were being utilized in Los Angeles or in the Los Angeles basin, and how they correlated to holdings from the Mexican government period. That map, or that organization of locations, is still the way that we organize locations today. So the familiarity, for instance, that students have with certain neighborhoods or neighborhoods in connection with one another, or the location or proximity to one another, is information that is unique and invaluable to their experience and to our project. So being able to tap into that and share that information and use that as a foundation to moving forward is really a strong point of this project, and really something that we've been able to benefit from tremendously, and that we'd love to explore as we continue to incorporate new members and their own expertise or their own understanding of Los Angeles. The thing with inviting so many people in is oftentimes there can be a little bit of confusion or overlap. So what we've tried to do with our project is really taper down the options for overriding or stepping on each other's toes in this project, even digitally, and really clearing out space for more collaborative interpretation. So one way that we've been able to go ahead and do that effectively was moving away from the Excel spreadsheet and moving towards a Google Drive organization of our work. We have a screenshot here as far as the way that we are breaking down the information or grouping certain aspects of our projects that make them accessible to the public or make them accessible to folks once we share them. But it also gives us an opportunity to parse information before we load it out to our website or to our outward facing points of interaction. So it's been a good opportunity to use Google Drive as a repository for all of this information that we're bringing in, either from our lit review or, as we mentioned, from our partnerships with other scholars, and really curate what collection we're showing out with the world using Google Sites. Another thing that I wanted to go ahead and point to is that Los Angeles has a rich history of small agriculture, that as we're moving through the literature review and the historical record, we're finding that the large agricultural history is fairly recent, that we see a lot of small producers in the period, and we find that their production has increased over the years, but that it's these small farms that did a lot of the heavy lifting as far as parsing out land, as far as moving in water, as far as irrigating and developing practices during the period. So in exploring that, one of the most curious ways to go ahead and reference that has been the seal of Los Angeles. So from 1854 to 1905, we have the seal that's on the top with the grape bunch and the corporation of the city of Los Angeles, referring to the grape production at the time. So even though LA is known for the grape production at this period, it's many small farmers that are producing in the region or in the area and are getting a fledgling wine business off the ground for commercial development and all of the curiosities that come with that process. But it's important that we note that even from its inception, even from the first seal that they're producing, we have this focal point on agriculture, and especially on small producers working together to develop the city of Los Angeles. By 1905, we see that the seal has changed, but there's some things that remain the same. There's a lot of relics of the history of Los Angeles. For instance, the Spanish control over the land that's signified by the coat of arms. We see this moving over to the Mexican period, and then the Bear Flag Revolt flag, then followed by the United States flag thereafter. So we see this progression of different ownership of land or progression of different authority on the land. But one thing that remains the same is that we see oranges, olives, and grapes featured prominently on the seal itself. So this is still in tribute to the small producers that are emerging during this period and are beginning to utilize Los Angeles's rich heritage of agricultural production to really step up to a national scale. So this is just one example of primary source interpretation that we were, for instance, able to participate in here in this conversation. And being able to record this conversation and save it for social media is one of the goals of our group, and using that type of idea to really record this rich primary source interpretation and pay it forward to the future researchers on this project and folks who want to use this in a public history adaptation. We really want to make sure that this is an accessible platform and is something that folks can use for a long time to come. This right here is an example of a geospatial referencing project that I've had the privilege to use in the classroom. This is looking particularly at a redevelopment film from 1963 and giving students an opportunity to page through the film and look at the community from a historical standpoint and really engage in historical thinking. So in this video, I'm demonstrating the use of Google Forms. So what we're using Google Forms here in this instance is to record interpretations from the film that's timestamped. So taking in their interpretations, being able to have a much richer film analysis of just a 15-minute film with student or researcher interpretations, and being able to save that information in a spreadsheet, and then thereafter incorporate that into whatever use is most useful to the project. So this is one example of how this can be done. I want to go ahead and wait till the video progresses. But this is one example of how we can open up primary source interpretation to a large community of scholars and use our best judgment to really parse through what's available to further research and then present that to the end user. So this is something that we are developing. This is a learning tool that can be applied to the K through 12 classroom, that can be applied to the undergraduate or even scholarly researcher applications. And you're only as good as your data. So that our main point now, or our main emphasis now, is parsing through that, developing ways to assemble this evidence in a way that relates to our project and relates to developing this further moving forward. So here you see an example of some of the interpretations that are filled in, as well as a georeference or superimposed map that we're using to organize some of their results. So this is, for instance, a comparison to Google Street View. At current time, that's assigned to a specific location on the map in the video. So being able to compare these 2 points and being able to discuss them fluidly is something that we really have benefited from, and that we're looking forward to applying as we move forward. With that said, that's my component of the presentation for the time being. And I'll pass it over to my colleagues.
So hey, my name is Jorge Guerrero, and under Moisés' guidance, he's been helping me kind of formulate and edit our homepage. So we got our live link here for URL. I don't know if Moisés wants to click on that or not, but so our main premise is kind of sharing our research and experience through this with our research with others, and letting them kind of advocating for not subsistence farming, but better agricultural practices here in Los Angeles. So in order for us to do that, we need to first create a website which is user friendly, and as of right now, with limited access. Like Chris had mentioned, we've been working with other scholars and whatnot to try to up our information on our website and keep it up to date. So we share individual links there. The beauty of Google Drive is that it allows us to kind of really organize it instead of the Excel sheet that Moisés was referencing to. And it lets us kind of communicate easier with our Gmails, instead of just plopping something down on the Google spreadsheet or the Excel sheet. And it got really disorganized. So the Google Sites really helps us kind of create a live website that can have all the links. And although it could be tedious at times, last week I was working with Moisés to edit and kind of get our organization's page kind of running, and he kind of gave me like the rundown on how we got to template things in the website. And it's something that as a historian I never really touched or had experience with. So I feel like this project's just given me a better insight to see how technology can also be used to get information, and as opposed to just, I guess, the classical means of writing a book or writing a scholarly journal. A project of this magnitude could have greater implications in a sense that it allows other people, not just historians or scholars, to access this material. So, and that's our goal with this, is to get the communities involved and get individuals involved to kind of promote this I guess, self-sufficient and independence of food, like Jewelyn was saying. So if Moisés, you click on the next slide. So we've been using QGIS, or we're going to plan to start using QGIS, because it allows us to first kind of what Moisés was talking about, kind of geo-referencing the work. And my experience with GIS is it allows you to create kind of a template that when you edit and layer on maps, you know, you could make an application, and it's not just like on the computer, you could use it on your phone. It's almost like a virtual PowerPoint that gives the viewer the power to really edit and see what they want to see, and kind of it's based on their self-interest. So yeah, QGIS, you know, we could an example would be, this is the LA basin here. We could layer that on GIS, and it would be able to, the user would be able to see where exactly this this image was portraying the area. And then we've also been planning to use Omeka, and Omeka's it's a online resource that helps scholars kind of keep track of all their resources, but it's on Omeka, so you upload it and then others get to collaborate with you. So it's kind of like building a network of resources like that. Zotero, kind of like Chris mentioned, it's super user friendly. I've used this for a little bit myself. All these programs are free, which make it even better. So Zotero, if you go to the website, they have the free program from both Mac and PC. And if you use Firefox, it allows you to just keep it on the toolbar up top. And you know, when you're accessing a scholarly journal in JSTOR, you just copy and paste the link to the Zotero app, and it helps you kind of create a bibliography for it, and then you could write a description on it. It's pretty neat. And then our last program that we've kind of been keeping an eye out for is Trophy. Trophy just makes things easier to organize, photos to organize, and images. My experience with other scanning I guess programs is I did an internship for Grants National Historic Site in St. Louis, Missouri, and they had me photo scanning a lot of court, I guess, circuit court records, and it kind of got messy because it was like Quicksilver scanning program, and it's not really user friendly. You have to scan and then put it in a folder, and Trophy kind of, as you're scanning, it's already throwing them and reorganizing them by date, and you could already like make a folder for it, and it's like a time frame. So it helps you keep all your research kind of organized and neat, as opposed to all over the place, and then, you know, just kind of scrambling to kind of reorganize everything. So yeah, so that's our kind of like the digital humanities aspect of the project. Like I said, it really helps. You know, everyone thinks of historians as a kind of just, I guess the classic take would be for historians to be kind of one-dimensional, but as what I've been doing with this project is something that I've never had experience. As I mentioned, it's something new, and I think this project, you know, in the USDA grant is really helping me kind of explore new horizons, for the lack of better words. So I'll pass it on to my colleagues. Thank you.
So just to finish out our presentation and to build on what my colleagues have said, our goal is to develop an object-oriented database. So the goal in that is to not have a template already predefined, but really to define what we need as we're using it. So making sure that the data that we're packaging for the end user is packaged in such a way that's intuitive and packaged in such a way that's useful. Because one of the things that we've been coming up against in the process of exploring other databases is their lack of navigability for maybe a less experienced user. So being able to really take the guesswork out of how to use the program and relate it to familiar software such as Google Maps, and using map projections in a way that builds on their existing knowledge base and allows them to explore their curiosities or their questions in the process. So that's a big imperative of our geospatial inventory. And we also want to make sure that it is descriptive and engaging and useful for a variety of users. And in that process that we're presenting our data interpretation and analysis, and we're doing that, ethically and to the best of our ability. So one of the main goals in this project has been to communicate with other folks who are doing similarly or aligned works, to make sure that we're engaging in best practices. And as my colleague mentioned, inviting them in to speak to us and really hear their point of view as to what pitfalls they faced and what advantages they see could be built out in the next iteration of this type of software. But I think most importantly, and the reason for this meeting, is communicating with other scholars here on our campus first and foremost, finding other folks who have skills and abilities that they can lend to this project and that they can develop through the research project. I think that's been a point that my colleagues have touched on, is that it is so open-ended and that it is open to so much creative interpretation and diversity in the process. There's no one telling you things have to be exactly one way or another. There is a process of discussion, there is a process of consensus, and in that we're able to really pull the strengths out of our entire team. And it would be awesome if we could grow that team out in the future. As Dr. Chatterjee mentioned, myself and Jewelyn are more senior researchers in the program, so that means that we'll be transitioning away from the program once graduated. So we want to make sure that the project is in good hands and that we provide as much of this information to grow it moving forward. So thank you for listening to our presentation, and I'm excited for future opportunities for collaboration. That concludes the PowerPoint portion of our presentation. I guess if there are any questions, we're happy to go ahead and field them as they come up.
Wonderful, wonderful presentations. I'm so proud hearing all of you speak so fluently and so competently. Thank you. Do we have any questions from the audience? You can put it in chat, you can, or ask them. Okay. Oh, hi, Alicia. So,
hey, hi there. This was so incredible, you guys. Dr. Chatterjee has told me about this project for the last couple of months and has alluded to all of you, but it's so amazing to see what you've been working on and what an incredible database this is. I'm curious about how you see sort of what the next steps are and how you see students sort of coming onto this project, what roles they take on, and how you're reaching out in an interdisciplinary way to talk to web designers or artists or other gardeners, or sort of where that, what the next steps look like and how you envision that.
So I just want to interject and say Alicia is a master's student in nutrition, and she is moving on for a PhD program. And she's the architect of the garden on campus. It's primarily due to her nonstop bugging everybody that it's going to be built. And she's very crucial to this project. And she's head of the Edible Garden Club on campus. So.
All true things.
I would just add that, it's while we're historians and there's a large historical component to this, the ultimate goal of the project is to make it interdisciplinary so that other students on campus, as we are growing the project, as we're upping up outreach, as maybe we have a more permanent website or database, that when they come across it, they become interested and want to get engaged. And it would also be great if they have offshoot and want to create their own projects that kind of center around the overall topic, which is, local agriculture here in Los Angeles. So I think that's one of the goals of the database and, our public outreach is just to provide an awareness of this topic in the community as well as on Cal State LA's campus. And so that other people become interested in either becoming involved in our particular project or maybe starting their own things that revolve around, agriculture, like for nutritionists. This would be once we have a more permanent database of categorizing the local plants, and, produce that works well growing here, that's something that they can include into their programs, coming up with a diet, even health students, once they see this kind of database of, okay, these are the plants, these how they grow locally, these are kind of what they provide nutrition-wise, that's something that they can incorporate maybe into a project about, health and well-being or something like that. So I think the overall goal has thousands of possibilities. And so we're hoping that our small contribution will just be a jumpstart to something larger. And so I think, as we're going on, the project will grow in so many different ways.
I just want to jump in because my students are very modest. I'll tell you exactly what they're working on. So Jewelyn is building a component of the database of African American small farming and agriculture in Pasadena. Jorge is working with Moisés to build a database of maps, of agricultural maps, as well as of organizations in LA who are involved with food, nutrition, composting. I think it would be nice to have a clearinghouse. And Chris is doing a deep dive into LA Times to find evidence of small holdings and independent homesteading and even agriculture for the local market, because that's the history we are really interested in uncovering. And so we already have 4 components, but it can grow exponentially. I mean, that's the beauty of this project, as Moisés said.
And one thing to just add to what everybody has shared so far is we've also, for instance, presented this presentation to the NSS 1000 class, which is not necessarily geared towards historians, but maybe folks who are interested. So getting more of an interdisciplinary conversation in that venue, and then doing these outreach talks. This is the first, hopefully, of many to engage the community at large. It would be awesome if we could do so on campus and find a way to really collect folks together. But given that these are the circumstances, I'm happy to overcome and adapt. The other thing is, that's why the website was so important. So I've placed a link in the chat as really having an opportunity to share that out as we have conversations about our research. That's been one of the most exciting parts of this project, is being able to share out intermittently as to what we're doing or what folks are interested in producing, and being able to share that instantaneously via the link. So that was the way that we first got in touch with Julia Lewandowski, was through Twitter. She had become aware of some of the project plans that I was posting, and she wanted to go ahead and engage that. So it's been an awesome process to connect with folks and to really have a digital foothold in doing so. So that's been a big push for our project and been something that's been a cornerstone of our work.
And Alicia, I just wanted to add that if Edible Garden Club wants to document the garden that y'all are building on campus, that could also be housed in our database, right? I mean, it has infinite capabilities. So if y'all want to start just a photographic essay of this completely barren land that Alicia and I've been to many times, I think that would be a great project for a graduate student.
I totally agree. I think that doing a photo essay would be incredible. It was something that I actually wrote into a previous proposal. I'm glad that you brought that up. And yeah, I just want to recognize that one of you said that you were doing a small thing, and this is no small thing. You guys are doing incredible work. It's super necessary. I'm also curious if you guys know about Open Silo. Has anybody come across Open Silo in your research work? OpenSilo.org was started by an urban planner from UCLA who focuses on urban agriculture, and her database, she has a database of the current community organizations, farms, urban farms, and community gardens in Los Angeles. You might find it to be really useful in looking for partnerships, orgs, etc. I'll put it in the chat here.
Okay.
That's excellent.
Yeah, I think you told me about it, Alicia. I did look at it. It seems to be a really good organization.
And then lastly, one thing that I also wanted to add is Jorge is also working on connecting through ASI for funding and for recognizing our group as a formal group on campus and being able to interact with academia in that way. I think that it's important to getting our message out there and being able to meet other like-minded folks who are in investing in our students' future and investing in our campus in the long term.
And Alicia has been very successful in getting money out of ASI for the compost that's been installed on this garden lot. And I think it'd be really good if even after she leaves, you all continue to work with Edible Garden Club. There's lots of synergy.
ASI is super interested in all of these projects. They're really motivated to help on things like this. They have tons of money, as I'm sure Dr. Chatterjee has alluded to. Additionally, on this call right now is Hannah, who is the Environmental Affairs Commissioner for the Environmental Policy Committee, which is part of ASI. So just FYI, I know that there's, you know, a lot of opportunity for you guys to visit clubs and to further talk about this through all of the various avenues that exist on campus. So.
Excellent, thank you.
Speaking on my experience on how kind of this project, how I found out about this project, and I think a lot of other first year students like myself could kind of benefit from, is having senior students like Jewelyn and Moisés kind of reach out. You know, that's a whole game changer there in itself. Word of mouth is great, and you know, just having conversations with people and finding out what their interests are. You know, I found out through this project because I mentioned that I had done a GIS project to Moisés, and he said, "Hey man, we're doing this thing on Friday. You should come check it out." You know, and that's how it started. And you know, I think it's pretty cool to kind of just initiate these conversations, and then you're going to see people's interests kind of flourish. So that's from my experience on how this project's going.
We have a lot of energy and inventiveness on our campus, but often there is no outlet for it, right? And the COVID lockdown has forced us to be very innovative. And for one reason, I'm thankful to it, because we wouldn't have done this in this format if we were all on campus, right? I would think it would have been a different project.
And can I add something myself? So from my experience as well, first year grad student, I feel like this project is very innovative and very useful for historians today, like myself. We tend to take for granted these online free accessible tools, and just the ability to make it accessible to the public, that for me is very valuable, because as a historian, I want my research, I want my work to be open to the public and help people beyond just interested in history. And I feel like this database is going to be very helpful for people in the future. As an Angelino, I know there's great interest in the work we're doing, and there's just not much research or databases like ours. So the ability to grow something this crucial for, I believe, the city of Los Angeles it's just incredible. And it's interesting that, you know, first year students like me and George are able to just provide our own input and our creativity to the project, which has not only helped me, benefited me in my independent research and just the research I'm doing for the group, but I feel like it's strengthened our group, and anybody is more than welcome to come and share their perspectives and the way they go about doing their research, because that will only make our work stronger, but also it will benefit the project and maybe give you ideas for your own database, your research that you're doing, and ways you want to help the public, or certain things you want your research to be a big crucial aspect of.
I think that's great, Christopher. And I'm glad you see me as a mentor. I just think that collaborative learning is key. I mean, I think sometimes scholars, get lost in their work and their research, and so they forget that the ultimate goal of becoming a scholar is sharing your knowledge. And that's why I'm very attracted to public history, because what is the point of research? It's to make people aware. And so it goes beyond maybe just writing a book or even being a professor or teacher. I think when you realize the value that everybody can contribute something at any level of their life or their academic career, that's essential, because somebody's idea might spark something in you that turns into something else. So I appreciate how collaborative this project is and how we're able to bring other people in. And I'm very excited to have other people join our group and our discussions, because I mean, that's how you build a community, really. You build a community through learning and through doing. And so I'm really interested in building these kind of public history skills, digital history, digital humanities, because I think that this is the way that we change things. When people have knowledge, they're aware of what's going on around them, and then that sparks interest in ideas. And so I think collaborative, learning collaborative discussions is definitely the way forward to problem solving, to solutions. Because, especially with climate change and our environment, we have some big issues ahead of us. And, discussions are key. If nobody's having a discussion, nothing ever gets done. And so I think while this is going to be, a database, which is going to have a digital component, I really hope it just sparks discussions and that people really are just aware and talk about these kind of things. Because people think of Los Angeles as this urban metropolis, and they wouldn't even be, have any knowledge of what kind of plants are growing, through the cracks of the concrete, literally. And so when people are enlightened to the plants and animals and fauna and everything else around them, then that's how we spark discussions for change. And so that's, what I hope this project, continues to turn into, and really has an effect on not only our campus, but just anybody who is interested.
Okay, so do we have any other questions or issues, last minute thoughts people want to share? This was so good, and I'm so glad we are recording it, and we will make it available on our History Department YouTube channel to inspire other students to join. Thank you so much.